Hey everyone, welcome to Travel Notes. This is my companion series where I go over all the essential logistical information that I learned from my trips and compile everything and share in the hopes that it helps you guys plan your trips. Today we're going to dive into Guam. I'm going to go through all the things you need to know to help make your trip smooth and successful. We're going to cover how to get around, where to stay, the best times to go, and everything else you need to have a great time. So let's dive in. Okay, so let's start with transportation. The best way to get around Guam, especially if you want to see all the places that are not in the tourist areas, is to rent a car. Guam is a U.S. territory, so they follow all the main rules that they do on the mainland. So they drive on the right, steering wheel is on the left. If you want to rent a car, you'll find all the major rental car companies at the airport. If you prefer not to drive, Guam does have a public transportation system, but you'll have to check the schedules and they might have limited routes, so you'll have to do some research on your own. It also doesn't have Lyft or Uber, but they do have their own ride-sharing apps called Stroll or Good to Go. But I have heard that they are unreliable. They do have taxis, but bear in mind this is going to be your most expensive option. Just to give you some context, the ride from our hotel to the airport, which is about 8 to 10 minutes, costs us about $25. Okay, so let's get into currency. As I mentioned already, Guam is a U.S. territory, so it accepts the U.S. dollar. Debit cards and credit cards are widely accepted everywhere, but it's always a good idea to bring cash, especially for the markets. Alright, so now that we've covered how to handle your money, let's get into where to stay. Guam does have some Airbnb options, but we decided to stay at a hotel because we wanted to be right by the beach. So I'm going to dive deep into the hotel that we stayed at, which was the Hyatt, and then the hotel that my parents stayed at, which is the Dusit. First up is the Hyatt Regency Guam. We booked a King Ocean View room originally, but they had overbooked the hotel, so when we got there, they only had the double queen rooms. You can see the room is a good size with a really nice, large bathroom area and a pretty decent balcony. The rooms could do with some refurbishing. There were minimal outlets to plug in devices, and the beds were a little hard for us. There's a few food options available with a main restaurant that serves breakfast and lunch and a cafe that's open really early in the morning to about 10 p.m. at night. There are 2 other restaurants on site, but we always ate somewhere else for dinner, so I can't comment on those. The pool area was fun. They have 3 different pool areas and a little pool bar that you can get food. But overall, we had a really pleasant stay. The location was great, and the customer service was truly exceptional. You really can't beat the room sizes and the balcony views. If you're staying longer than 7 days, make sure you check the Hyatt website when comparing prices, as we got a better deal on their website rather than using a third-party site like Booking.com. My parents and other members of my family stayed at the Dusit Thani Beach Resort, which was only an 8-minute walk from the Hyatt. There's actually 2 Dusit resorts and they're right next to each other, so it can be a little bit confusing. There's the Dusit Thani and the Dusit Beach, with the Thani being the slightly fancier of the 2, but don't get me wrong, the beach is really, really nice. My parents got the deluxe king-size room with an ocean view, which was up on the 17th floor. They thought that the room was very comfortable with enough space that they didn't feel claustrophobic for the whole 2-week stay. They felt that the bathroom was spacious and clean, and they thought the balcony was a little bit small, but they really did enjoy the view of Tumon Bay. So the beach resort also has a few restaurants in the hotel. The Sunday brunch at the Palms was really good. They have a wide selection of everything from Japanese to Chamorro food and all kinds of desserts, including a chocolate fountain. The spa that is featured in my longer video is in the Dusit Thani, so just be aware of that if you wanted to try that out. Okay, so let's move on now for some practical tips. First, we're going to start with the weather and the best time to go. Guam has a tropical climate, so it's important to consider when the typhoons happen, and this is during the typhoon season, which runs from July to November. Dry season is from December to June, and that's pretty much the time you want to go We went at the end of January and the weather was perfect. It was about mid 80s during the day to lower 80s, maybe upper 70s at night, and relatively low humidity. If you go during the wet season, you're looking at 100% humidity, which to me is unbearable. All right, so let's move on to packing tips. Here are a few essential things that you're probably going to want to bring on your trip. Besides the usual stuff that you pack for a beach, if you can, try to buy reef-safe sun protection. It's mineral-based instead of chemical-based because the chemical-based ones really destroy the reef, and we want to do our parts as responsible tourists to keep the reefs around, not just for us, but for the generations to come. Speaking of reefs, we love these masks that you saw in my video. I had my whole family try them on, and they were all converts. It's so much easier to breathe out of, and the panoramic view cannot be matched by these old school masks. You can find them in any sports store, but we got ours here on Amazon. Just find one that suits your budget. Also, if you plan on doing some hikes while you're there, be aware that your gear can get really muddy from the red clay that they have, so bring some stuff that you don't mind messing up. Another useful tip is that you don't need to pack any outlet converters because they use the same plugs that they do here in the US. Lastly, we're going to go over phone service. So before you leave, you're going to want to check with your carrier service to see what kind of international plan you have and to see if your phone is locked or unlocked. If it's unlocked, you'll be able to use an eSIM card while you're in Guam. You can download it and use your phone like you would in the States. But make sure you check before you leave because I didn't, and I bought and downloaded an eSIM card only to find out that I couldn't use it on my phone. But luckily, I was able to get a refund, but I did end up having to use Verizon's international rate, which was about $12 a day. But some carriers like T-Mobile have international roaming included in their plan, so you're just going to want to check with your carrier and see what kind of plan you have. Okay guys, so there you have it. Just a few helpful tips to know before you go to Guam. I hope this video has been helpful in planning your upcoming adventure. If you have any questions or a helpful tip of your own, please leave them in the comments. And don't forget to check out my main Guam video. The link is there in the description. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you found this helpful. Please like and subscribe for more travel tips and adventure and to help me grow my channel. See you in the next video.